Here we are with another week in 7th D Puckcast. Keith here.
And Chris.
Today we're going to go over the Pacific Division. I don't really see too many surprises here. Maybe the Oilers. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement. This is probably the most, expected division. Everyone's doing kind of what I thought they would do. The Oilers being in second is a surprise.
Connor McDavid
Connor McDavid is tearing everything apart. It also helps that he now has the big body of Milan Lucic as his bodyguard, essentially. That is becoming a really interesting story there.
I think we'll start seeing that later on down the road with other teams doing that with their superstars.
Yeah, they're going to see some big-bodied guy playing with him. But also, too, it's surprising because I thought the Oilers were going to be probably near the bottom again. I knew it was going to be all on Connor McDavid, but when they traded Taylor Hall for Adam Larson...
Oh...
The worst trade.
Like, Larson's doing nothing.
I think in the history of sports, that might be the worst trade.
At least up there as one of the worst.
Okay, maybe Scott Gomez for Ryan McDonough was. But at the time, McDonough was still a prospect when that happened. So, you didn't really know.
We knew who Hall was.
We knew who Hall was. We knew who Larson was. And it was a terrible trade.
You have Draisaitl. He's putting up the points.
Yeah, he's
14 goals, 17 assists.
He does both. He sets up and he scores. And he's fast. He does it all.
They have the fun defense. They could probably trade away Jordan Eberle.
Jordan Eberle or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who seems to have an absurdly high value to him.
Yeah.
People think he's still this fantastic player. He's never put up good numbers and he gets hurt all the time because he's tiny.
What they're going to end up doing is holding him 2 more years, trading him for a fourth round pick.
Yeah, or third.
Yeah,
something like that.
Completely just ruin his career.
Yeah, and he'll end up being Yakupov.
One of the other good things they have is, Talbot's been solid.
Yeah, I expected this from Talbot. When the Rangers traded him away, I knew he was going to go there and he was going to be a good goalie, and he is. And he's doing it with a terrible defense.
Yeah.
So... kudos to you. I always liked Talbot when he was a Ranger. I'm still cheering for him.
Great backup. Now he's a good starter.
Yeah.
Guess we'll just work our way down from here. We got the Sharks.
Well, that would be up, but
up.
Whatever. But the Sharks. Exactly kind of what you expected. They've been doing this for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They're coming in first place, but
it is the same team
in the playoffs. Last year when they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, but it's the same team. Brent Burns is a monster. And I absolutely love the way he plays.
He's got 144 shots already.
That is, for a defenseman, ridiculous. That might actually be leading the league, I think, in shots.
He's definitely up there.
He's definitely
one or two.
Up there, yeah. And he's doing it all, scoring goals, assists. And all of his assists are coming off of his shots. But
got Pavelski. He's putting up a ton of points.
Yeah, Jumbo Joe setting up everybody again.
Logan Couture's solid second line right now.
Yeah, doing a good job. I always liked him.
Patrick Marleau, age is catching up.
Yeah, it's almost quitting time for him.
Yep.
He had a great career. Patrick Marleau was a fantastic player, character guy, awesome, but it's starting to come to a close for him.
So keep going down. We got the Ducks.
I
guess they're the same like the Sharks. They're the same team.
They're the same team, but they made the stupid decision to bring Randy Carlyle back to be their head coach. Why did you fire Bruce Boudreau? The guy gets every team he coaches is in first place at the end of the season. Yes, he doesn't have a great track record in the playoffs,
but he gets you there.
He'll get you there every year, and I think that's more of just coincidence that his teams don't make it far in the playoffs. Look at Minnesota, who he's coaching now. They're on a 12, 13-game winning streak now.
Yeah.
Everywhere he goes, he wins. And they brought back Carlisle, who has been a terrible coach throughout his career. They only brought him back because he won the Stanley Cup with the Ducks. But his track record with players not liking him and everything like that, I don't see why you trade Carlisle and bring him in instead of Boudreau. It makes no sense.
The physicality of Perry's game seems to have gone away.
Yeah, it's dropped off significantly this year, and
he's putting up Corey Perry numbers. He's just not as physical.
Yeah, he's been a little shy. Maybe that's what Carlisle wants him to do.
Yeah,
because I don't think he uses his players in the correct way. Ricard Raquel is having a good year he's come.
He's probably their biggest surprise.
They have a good team.
Yeah, Vatanen's a little slow right now, But, I mean, he'll pick it up.
He's not scoring, but he is putting up some assists. But, yeah, he should pick it up. I mean, he's looked fine.
If they're goaltending, if Gibson turns it around, he's only had a 906 save. I mean, if you want to make a long playoff run, your goalie has to put up better than that.
Yeah, and they don't really have a good fallback in Bernier.
No.
Not
even close.
Where you want to go. Move right down the list to the Calgary Flames, the Flaming Seas. Yeah, kind of where I expected them to be at this point.
You can definitely tell that the talent is there.
Yes, the talent's there. Matthew Tkachuk he's better than I expected him to be. He is doing amazing.
Like, he's supposed to be that big body bruiser, but he can with that scoring touch.
He's a grinder. He's going to get in front of the net, but he's going to chip it in, and he's got good hands, and he's good at using his size already as a young player, which means you can imagine what numbers he'll put up when he matures a little bit.
Yeah, it starts getting more trust from the coaches, getting that little extra ice time.
And the thing is, they're even there with some surprises in their lineup. Sean Monahan came in and had a terrible start to the season. He was demoted to the fourth line. He didn't seem to be connected. He's starting to come around now, but I mean,
his numbers right now look a little low: 10 goals, 10 assists. But
when compared to how like early going of the season was, it was bad.
I mean, that's still looking at a 20-goal season.
Yeah. And I think he'll definitely hit that, maybe even go over a little bit.
Mark Giordano's also pretty slow for them this year.
Yeah, not having the
5
points.
goals, 9 assists.
Yeah.
Only 14 points in 30-plus games.
Johnny Gaudreau, slower than he was last year.
Still 25 points on the year.
Still has 25 points in the year. Last year he was doing a little more. Big plus-minus issue there, though. He's a big negative. Which you don't want to see from your top star player.
Brody's got a negative 18. I mean, with Giordano not putting up points, he has a positive plus-minus.
Yeah. But also, the biggest surprise on the team is the goaltending.
Chad Johnson is the starter.
I mean, nobody expected that when the season started. They brought Brian Elliott in because he's had a couple good seasons in St. Louis. They're like, we finally solidified our goaltending. With Chad Johnson, not Brian Elliott, though. It's kind of like, okay. I mean,
you cannot argue Johnson's stats. I mean, he's
doing great.
Not an elite, but he's putting up more than
he's
quality
putting up
starting
what
numbers.
The Flames are going to need out of a goalie if they ever want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, last year with the 3 goalies, Ortillo, Ramo, and Hiller.
The worst goaltending trio.
And that beat out Dallas's horrible goaltending trio, I'd say.
But I mean, Dallas still has that.
I don't know. They were both just... I mean, you had 3 goalies who were terrible, whereas in Dallas they had 2 goalies who were terrible. So it's... I mean, but they're definitely, I think, going in the right direction.
Yeah, they're definitely... Like, when you watch them, they're definitely a fun team to watch. They're fast.
Yeah, they have depth. There's still speed throughout all 4 lines.
Oh, yeah. Even on defense, they have it.
Yeah, Dougie Hamilton is finally back to what... Like, 2 years ago when they got him from Boston... When Boston, he was showing that he was going to be a really good defenseman. He went to Calgary and never really reclaimed that.
But, I mean, that was a terrible Calgary team.
Yes.
Like, no one was mature. They were young.
Yeah, and even it seemed like the veterans at the time didn't want to be there, so they didn't care.
They couldn't keep up with the youth. The youth couldn't slow down enough for them.
Yeah, which is another issue we're going to see with another team further down this list. That's currently happening now.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Below that, the Kings.
They have your favorite player, Drew Doughty.
Oh God. Yeah, Drew Doughty. I mean, they're not doing well this year, but I mean, it's kind of what do you expect when Anze Kopitar is not putting up any points? Really, he's off to it.
And you don't have your starting goaltender,
and Quick. Yeah, the biggest one. Yeah, Quick. Hurt like game 1, game 2. Quick gets hurt.
One game, that's it.
Yeah, and Peter Budaj is doing more than you could ever have asked for him to do. But it's still Peter Budaj, and he hasn't been in the NHL in how many years?
Yeah, I mean, Toffoli's now on IR, so now what are they going to do?
He really was. He was putting up decent numbers, but
nothing insane. But still at a plus 14.
Yeah, on a team that's just barely 3 games over 500.
Yeah. Carter, he has 19 goals.
Yeah, he's been good, but you need Anze Kopitar to. Turn it up.
What's probably going to happen, what it usually does, like Kopitar last year, slow start.
Yeah, through the first 30 games he did nothing.
He just put up double his points.
Yeah.
And Carter did nothing the second half of the year.
if the Kings want to have any chance of getting back in the hunt, they need both of them to get Carter to stay going, and they need Kopitar to start going. And honestly, if they're throwing in the towel on the season, keep Budaj.
Yeah,
and just keep letting him go. Maybe at the end of the year you can trade him to a team that needs a
unless you start
goaltender.
seeing that spark on your team that. Okay, this looks like that deep playoff team. We got this.
Yeah.
You don't need to trade for a big money goaltender.
Because I like what they said is that they're not going to, trade away the house for a goaltender right now. They're going to keep going with what they have. It would be a dumb idea because you trade away, some star players or some really good players to get a goalie in. When Quick comes back, now the trade's basically worthless.
Trade a Sterling, Gabrick, or Jake Muzzin, and then boom.
Oh, well, I wouldn't really consider a star like Gabrick a star, but yeah.
Gabrick shows up in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, that is true.
He'll put up more points than in a full regular season.
Yeah. That's really all to say about the Kings, though. I mean, they're just kind of... Their goaltending is their issue. The Canucks...
if they didn't have such a hot start to the year, their record would just be... horrible.
That and they are the most, in my opinion, the most boring team to watch play. They're disorganized.
They don't have exciting goaltending in Miller and Markstrom. It's just oh look, you let in a weak goal. Surprise.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Yay. I mean,
your selling point is 38-year-old twins.
Yeah, who are having bad years. You went out and signed Louis Eriksson, who is having a bad year.
I mean, I wonder if they ever wish they didn't trade away Corey Schneider.
Yeah.
Bo Horvat is probably going to be their best player.
And he's not
that good.
For a team that's kind of been in a rebuild, it's kind of like...
You don't have
what
pieces.
Have you been rebuilding with? Because, Bo Horvat's... I don't see him ever being...
No, Ben
Hutton, Suter... They're not really that great of players. This is not a foundation to build around.
I think when the Sedins are gone, maybe try to find a few free agents. Because, that's going to be a lot of money that gets freed up when those two are gone.
Yeah.
So, if they can sign some quality pieces in free agency one year, even if it's three players off those two guys, they can build that foundation and just hope that in the draft they get that star player they need.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a long time before Vancouver is competitive again.
Minimum 4 years before they're even
at 500 team.
Yeah, let alone talked about playoffs. They need something. They don't have a goalie. They don't have forwards. They don't have
Miller,
a defense.
who's getting old and won't be around for much longer.
Markstrom's good, but
he was always expected to be a top elite guy, and he's just not. Yeah. There's nothing there. I don't see any pieces. There's teams that you see rebuilding, like the Sabres. You see them rebuilding, but you see the cornerstones. You see the foundation of the team and where they're building off of. I can't tell you what they're building off of.
When I see this team play, it just looks like they have their third or fourth line out all
the time. Yeah, there's just nothing really positive to say about them.
Speaking about positive,
here we go.
The Arizona Coyotes, my team. 11, 19, and 5.
Yeah. And the thing is I expected the Coyotes... I maybe didn't expect them to be a playoff team this year, but I expected them to maybe be 20th, 21st in the league. No, there's a lot of potential in this team. There's a lot of talent in this team. Their coach is a fucking moron.
I didn't want to point the blame anywhere, but it is Tippett.
He was given such a good foundation of a team.
Yes.
And he royally fucked it up.
It's ooh, Strome, you're not doing very well. So, you're
fourth line with Ryan White.
9 minutes a game. Why didn't you score a goal? Back down to juniors. Where he's 2.5 points per game.
Shane Doan, you're 40 years old. Oh, let's just give you 20 minutes a game. He's gone down to 13 now, but let's just keep putting him on every single power play. Let's keep,
the shining thing that Tippett's doing is how he's playing Verbata.
No, I disagree. I think Verbata's extremely overrated. Why is he playing on the first line?
Because he is their top scorer.
But he shouldn't. If he was put
With
in
that
the
team, he
right,
shouldn't be.
Yeah, he should be third line. He'd be a good third
That
line
complimentary
player.
to the youth.
Their first line should be their third line. Shane Doan, Radim Verbata on the third line. Great. Domi, Duclair, and Dylan Strome. Dvorak.
Yeah.
Have those guys on the top line. Those are your young guys. Just put them out there. Just let them go out and make mistakes. Don't bench them every time they go out and make a mistake.
Jacob Chikrin is a huge one about that. Like, oh, you let up a shot.
You're benched.
You're benched for Kevin Connaughton. Oh, you were responsible for them scoring 3 goals tonight. We're going to start you again.
Yeah. Or Connor Murphy. You can't stand up. Let's keep playing you.
He gets deked out of his skates every game.
And they still play him.
Yeah.
Every game.
Line 1.
Yeah.
Like, Oliver can't do it all.
No. And the thing is that their best defenseman is Oliver, and then that's followed by Chikrin and D'Angelo. Goligoski was expected to be number 2, but he hasn't really been
They got
good.
the rookie Kyle Wood from Colorado.
Yeah.
Sitting in their AHL. He's 20 years old, 6'5", 230
They
pounds.
need to clear house of all this dead weight defense. Shen, leave him, keep him, make him your third line defenseman with Chikrin maybe for right now.
Yeah.
But give Chikrin more than 6 minutes of ice time.
Oliver and Wood.
Yeah.
Wood's got 28 points.
D'Angelo, Goligoski, Oliver and Wood, Chikrin and Shen. That needs to be your defense.
Yes. And then
Let them develop and just keep playing them. They make it a fun, interesting game. Make your team fast. Tippett's trying to instill this system on them where they have to make like 2 passes before they leave the zone. The problem is that you have really fast guys playing with really old, slow guys, and they just disconnect.
Like, Chikrin would go, do his own thing a little bit here and there. He was blowing by forwards,
Yeah.
making beautiful plays.
Early this year when I was watching,
and I watched the game, and he
past
won't
everyone.
leave the defensive zone.
Yeah.
You're the fastest guy on the ice. I mean, you have Lawson Krause, who's pretty much just as fast. Another big-bodied guy.
Third line.
No, he's not even. He's fourth line.
Fourth line even. So, yeah, okay.
8 minutes a game.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're one of the biggest, fastest guys on the ice at any time. We're not going to play you.
Shane Doan, go play the power play in line 1.
I mean, stick Krause with Doan.
Yeah, he constantly makes bad decisions, and I don't understand is he's praised out there as a coach. I mean, Steve Downey beat us to it when he came out and bashed him, which is great because, I mean, we've been talking, even before we did this podcast, we've been talking all year about how bad of a coach he is.
He's not a bad coach if he has a team with experience.
Yeah, he needs to have a veteran team.
Like, when they made the playoffs, they had, like, Rostoval Klesla as the defenseman.
Yeah.
Like, they had, like, 28, 35-year-olds as their team.
Yeah.
And they made a deep playoff run under Tippett's form. He needs to be transferred to an older team.
Tippett would do probably a lot better on a team like Florida now, or the Rangers even. Like, any team that's got, more of a veteran and they only have maybe 1 or 2 younger guys.
Yeah.
But right now with a team that's, in full blossom, ready to rebuild, this team's ready to go.
I mean,
and he is just screwing it up.
If Tippett goes and they bring in that right coach who can utilize that youth, I think they'll be a scary team next year. I mean, you got Clayton Keller.
They could almost be a scary team now. I mean, granted, the scores of the games might be 5-4 every night or 6-5 or,
the way Mike Smith's standing
games.
on his head.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that's what the Coyotes have right now. The only games they've won is because Mike Smith is standing on his head.
They're still losing those games.
Yeah. What was the one he had a couple weeks ago? He made 59 saves in
Something
a game?
like that, yeah.
That's absurd. Your goalie should never have to face 59 saves. They have the worst Corsi numbers in the league by far. Their possession is terrible. Yet he doesn't change anything, and he just keeps screwing the younger guys over. No team rebuilds like this.
Yeah, they only have one player with a positive plus-minus, and that's Christian Dvorak, a rookie.
Who gets delegated to the fourth line all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever he makes a mistake.
He's been second line the past few games, but
yeah,
how long's that going to last?
But that's because Domi got hurt.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Why does he have Domi out there fighting? I mean, I know Domi kind of took that into his own, but still at the same time, like, have control of your team and be like, hey, don't let Domi fight. Someone jump in and fight for Domi.
You are all bigger than him.
Yeah, Domi is the little man on the ice. I know we might have little man complex, but
He did knock out Kessler.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was so fun to watch, but still.
I mean, we could carry on with the Coyotes for another, 20 minutes.
Yeah, but we'll just kind of, keep it there.
I mean, I guess, since we're finished with the Pacific, I mean, we've gone over everyone.
And I guess what we could do now is what we did at the end of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, instead of doing the most overrated, we're going to go about the most underrated.
Yeah.
You want to start, or you want me to start with this?
You can start.
Okay, so for my forward, I mean, I'm going to go Wayne Simmons. Yeah, I know he's putting up tons of numbers. He's a great player. I mean, he has 17 goals, 14 assists. But they don't talk about him being the best offensive player in Philly. It's Giroux. It's Voracek. No, it's Wayne Simmons.
Yeah, because since Wayne Simmons has been on the Flyers, and even towards the tail end when he was growing up on the Kings, he's always been the guy who's get tons of power play points. He's always putting up points, and he does it every year. Whereas Voracek was terrible last year, and everyone still talks about him like he's this
Simmons
top
is just
great guy.
Steadily good all year. Voracek
And quietly always going up. I mean, Simmons this year is on a better pace than last year, and last year he had a phenomenal season. I mean, he's a great player. He's physical in front. He screens everyone. You can't move him. And he can shoot. He's got a decent shot.
Very well.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to drop his gloves. Will hit you hard if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
He does it all. Drew, it's a pussy.
Yeah. And I think overrated, too.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't my most overrated player as we went over last week, but I think he is overrated. For me, my underrated player is Brad Marchand. Almost a similar type thing as Simmons. He's a guy that sits in front of the net, pesters the hell out of you, hits you, and then turns around and scores a goal on you.
I think it's the pestering and how obnoxious he is why so many people dislike him.
He has this total rat face.
He does.
And, I mean, this is a Rangers fan talking about how I think Brad Marchand is a good player and underrated.
He's always where he needs to be.
Always. And he's got, already on the year, he's got 10 goals, 20 assists.
Yeah.
And he's already over 100 shots on goal.
He does everything.
From a guy that was a pest, and, I mean, quietly, he scored 20 goals a year every year except for the lockout season.
And he had, 34
30. He was higher than that. I think 30, in the 37, 38 range.
Yeah, he was definitely up there.
He was close to 40 last year. He had a great year, and yet he's still not really thought of when
a lot of people are like, oh, he's not going to do that again. His goals are going to come down. Okay.
It might come down a little bit, but he scores 28
assists.
goals and gets 40 assists for you.
Okay.
Great. Take it. I mean, but still, when teams talk about their scoring players, they don't really talk about Brad Marchand.
No.
They talk about your Stamkos, your Ovechkin, your players like that.
But
Brad Marchand never comes into that equation.
He's that little pest that just gets under their skins.
And then makes it even worse when he turns around and scores on you. That's the worst part. That's the bigger slap in the face than when he actually does slap you in the face. Honorable mention, I would say, to most underrated forward, though, is Rickard Rakell out in Anaheim.
Yeah, also Leon Draisaitl.
Yes.
Talked about a little bit earlier.
Same, we talked about Rakell.
Up.
Rakell, 14 goals, 7 assists in 26 games. Great.
Yeah.
But, it's the same deal as Simmons. Simmons deals with having Giroux and Voracek, as the guys ahead of him that everyone talks about. Rakell has Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf.
Draisaitl has Connor McDavid.
Yes. So, I mean, these are all guys who are great, but they're just a little.
For my most underrated defenseman, I hate to do it, but I'm going back to Philly. Michael Del Zotto.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
I'm not even a Philly fan. Could care less about them.
I hate the Flyers, but I agree with you.
Michael Del Zotto, he's doing everything. I mean, he's only got 9 points in 20 games, but he's a defenseman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting almost 4 hits a game, 2 blocks a game. Like, he's there, he's stopping the puck, he's keeping you from getting to his net.
And he'll chip in.
Yeah. He's just injury prone. I think if it wasn't for the nagging injuries he's always had, he'd be one of the league's top defensemen.
I don't know about top, but he'd be a second-line defenseman on every team.
Yeah.
Any team that had him, second-line defenseman. And you'd be happy to have him there. For me, underrated defenseman, I have to go Rasmus Ristolainen. 3 goals, 21 assists. He's playing over 26 and a half minutes of ice time a game on a terrible Buffalo. Well, they're better this year, but they didn't have Eichel to start the year, and he's still been putting up these big points. And no one really talks about him because no one really talks about Buffalo. because
I mean, if you talk about Buffalo, you're talking about
you're talking about Eichel.
Eichel,
And since he was hurt, no one was talking about him.
O'Reilly,
Yeah.
all the forwards. I mean, defense would kind of fall off. But
Yeah, no one really pays attention.
you're going to hear his name a lot. He's going to be
gonna-
the next Oliver, who's going to be my honorable mention for this.
Yeah, and my honorable mention would be Nick Holden from the
Yeah.
Rangers. He has 2 more goals tonight, so now he's up to 8 goals, 12 assists on the year, and they got him in a trade for a 4th-round draft pick.
Way to go, Colorado, again.
Yeah, you
could have Holden and Kyle Wood.
Still this week, you are riding the struggle bus, Colorado.
All right, well, we're going to go on goalies. We're going to make this one quick.
Okay.
Back to Buffalo for me. Ryman Liner, 922 save, 247 on a crappy team.
Yep. Can't disagree with that.
No, solid numbers all year.
Solid numbers. He always battles. He doesn't give up on anything. I like him. He's a big guy, too. He's a monster of a goalie. For me, though, I think my most underrated goalie is Devin Dubnyk. He's
Backup goalie.
Everyone wrote him
To a
off
Vezina.
after Edmonton. And then he went to Arizona and started putting up these good numbers. And then he went on a tear with Minnesota. He had a good year last year. And now this year, 27 games started, 18 wins, a 1.58 goals against, and a 947 save percentage.
There's goalies that pray for that in a single game.
Yeah. If a goalie does that after 1 week where he had 3 starts to start the season, everyone's like, wow, he's off to a great start.
Player
And that's
of
what
the week.
everyone said.
Star number 2.
Here we are halfway through the season, and he's still doing it. And who are the goalies that people are still only talking about? Carey Price, who has a lower goals against and higher goals against, lower save percentage.
King Lundqvist.
Henrik Lundqvist, Corey Schneider. We're still talking about these other goalies.
Whose backups are doing better than them.
Yeah, and they're not, and no one's still talking about Dubnyk, who is the reason they are still on this tear.
Yeah.
This massive winning streak. I got to give it to him. He's just having...
I'll not
if
dispute
he does
that.
not win the Vezina this year, I've lost all faith in humanity.
He will have to totally just crap the bed.
Yeah, he would have to. But
Well, that's it for our show today. Feel free to follow us on our Facebook, 7th D Puckcast, and on Twitter, 7th D Puckcast.
and have a happy new year.